Hey, it's been a minute since I played Pokemon Sword, but I have, and I finished it, and it was fun and not hard at all, but it was definitely fun. I had a friend play through the game too, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, it was easy." Always having the experience share on, I think, was a mechanic to make sure you played with a whole bunch of different Pokemon, and you kept catching a whole bunch of different Pokemon, and you rotated them out on a decent basis because it allowed you to do that. Basically, the experience share always being on. I personally would not have done that. I would have probably made it like you could do in a previous game where you could choose whether or not it's on, and therefore, if you wanted to have it on all the time, it's just an easy switch. If you wanted to have it off, it was also an easy switch. If you needed to do that for training purposes or whatever, or you're trying to make it harder on yourself. But it was definitely easy. I don't remember having any issues with any gym leaders or the Elite Four or anything like that, or whatever the Elite Four was called. They must have been so easy. I don't really have a great memory of them. I just know I beat them, and I was playing the game, waiting around for like the bad guys to show up, and obvious villain was obvious villain, and it was fine. I liked the fake villain goth team. That was kind of fun, a little bit different. Wild areas, best part of the game by far. Biggest new change in the game. I like video games exploration aspects, so this felt like that in a Pokemon game. I really liked how you could control who you were fighting for the most part. Some Pokemon just zoom after you, and you couldn't really do anything about it. But I liked having some ability to choose who I was fighting, whether that meant picking something that my Pokemon could take out or seeing something really cool and trying to catch it. Like all those things were neat and interesting. Definitely loved exploring the wild areas, and I'm very glad that the expansion pass areas are going to be wild areas, or at least heavily feature some wild areas. So that was definitely cool. I obviously had some Pokemon I wanted to catch that weren't in the game. Hello, cat. That I knew it was going to be the case. There are a lot of people upset that the entire Pokedex wasn't in the game, and now that more of that is going to be an expansion pass, I can be okay with that. I always tend to go for a lot of the new Pokemon anyway, just to try them out. So I tend not to have like a set that I keep going back to. I say that now, and then I will say who my finishing team was, and then you'll make fun of me because it features at least one Pokemon I have used before, but I couldn't quite remember my finishing team, and so I had to look it up, which meant I had to look up how to find it on this game, which apparently is so simple I didn't even think of it. Just look at the start screen, don't press anything. But I kind of had a weird team. Like, yeah, it featured Pokemon from this game, but it also featured some from a whole bunch of random stuff. I had a whole box called Varsity that I kept sticking things in that I would rotate out and train up and stuff like that. But I picked the Fire Starter. I This was an interesting game in that all three of them looked pretty sweet by the end of the game, and they were all kind of interesting in their own way. Um, Camera Woman picked the Water Starter. I picked the Fire Starter, and I feel like it kind of peaked early. Like its stats were pretty high at a certain point, and then they just kind of weren't as good compared to some things, and it was really only good at like one thing. It was good at doing fire attacks, and that was about it. But I had Cinderace. I apparently, yeah, like when I look at its moves, I don't, Pyro Ball, really, really strong. But other than that, I mean, double kick is not the strongest thing in the world. I had a U-turn on it for whatever reason, and Zen Headbutt. So it was good at taking out steel Pokemon, and it did what a fire Pokemon does, but I can't say it was super adaptable. I stuck it with a pair of heavy-duty boots. I really didn't have anything to really didn't have anything to very special to do with this one. I wanted a grass Pokemon. I ended up going with Flapple. It is a Pokemon from this game, a little grass dragon thing. I feel like I caught its previous form in a den in the wild area, and that was kind of surprising. It was really fast, so I ended up giving it. Oh, I'm sorry. It was very strong, but it wasn't very fast. It hit very hard. It couldn't take a hit, and it wasn't very fast. So my strategy for the Elite Four was basically to give it a Choice Scarf, and that ended up doing pretty well. I gave it Dragon Rush, Draco Meteor, Grab Apple, and Acrobatics. So it had 3 different strong physical moves, and then Draco Meteor because why not? I had one that had a boosted attack, so it hit like a truck. Another region specific Pokemon. When I figured out it was part fairy, and poison, I really wanted a Weezing. I figured it would be good against hitting fairy Pokemon, and I think I was surprised to find one of the later opponents having a Weezing. I was like, oh, I had the same thought as you did. Mine had Levitate, so it wasn't hit by ground moves, and it had Explosion, Strange Steam, Toxic, Sludge Bomb. It could do a couple things. It could hit hard with stab attacks, it could poison things, or it could just blow up for funsies. So I thought this Weezing was hilarious, that it was not a pollutant but an anti-pollutant. That was funny to me. I feel like the Pokemon design of this one was pretty dang strong. Like, I know people make fun of like some of the newer Pokemon, but this one, it seemed like it had a solid mix, including a lot of the alternate forms. So those are my 3 from that region. I wasn't really sure how to build around that, so I ended up, since I had a couple kind of glass cannon things, I felt like I should have another beefy Pokemon. So I got a Jellicent, which I never used before. I gave it Wide Lens, and is a Water Ghost Pokemon with Water Absorb that is kind of supposed to take a hit. As it was a Wally thing, I made it have Recover and Will-O-Wisp, so it helped take out some stuff, and then gave it Hydro Pump and Shadow Ball. So can do a couple things. I also picked Galvantula with a King's Rock. I super definitely used Galvantula in, what is that, the Black and White, I think it was. This one had a boosted special attack, so I know it's a glass cannon. I know I used it before, but since it is so fast and it is electric Pokemon, I always really like to have one that can do Thunder Wave and paralyze things, because if we can't take it out, it can at least weaken it for somebody else. So, Thunder Wave, Energy Ball, Electro Ball, Leech Life. Leech Life got so much stronger in this game than it used to be. Base power 80 for something that heals you? That's pretty good. I didn't know how to complete my team, but I ended up picking a Mamoswine. A Mamoswine. I don't think I've ever had one for the end of the game before. I think I've had one, but I didn't really use it. So, Ice Ground, Ice Fang, Earthquake, Ice Shard, and Rock Slide. It hits hard physically. It's very hard physically. Not as hard as the little apple dragon, but... So that was my team. Obviously, you catch a whole bunch of other Pokemon in the game. Like I said, the designs are pretty cool. The Ghost Dragon airship Pokemon was interesting. The different, oh god, Cupfagrigus, is that what it's called? An interesting alternate form. It felt like there was a lot of Pokemon from like the 5th gen in this game, which I was cool with. Like I was certainly down with the 5th generation. It just seemed like there was a whole lot that showed up eventually. No Poliwrath in this game, but its fifth gen equivalent was there, and I definitely used that for a while. So I guess to sum up, it was a fun game. It was not hard, and I look forward to playing the expansion pass areas.